I can't count how many times as a high school kid I listened to Another Brick thinking, man, this song is just so right about those annoying, cruel teachers. They treat us as slaves, not realizing how replaceable and insignificant they are. Just bricks in a wall. It was quite a few years after that I realized the song is not against the school system. You remember, there was no internet at that time where you could just read it up in a minute. Imagine my surprise, realizing that Roger Waters wrote Another Brick in the Wall about his father's death in World War II. Not about school, about a dead father he never knew.
He's been a shining light to me all my life, my father, that is.
Waters even said, and I quote, "I think there are things in my story that have helped my creativity. Your father being killed, for instance, is one of the best things that could happen to a kid if he's going to write poetry or songs." The song is actually about psychological trauma. Pink Floyd built an entire concept album around one man's mental breakdown, a rock star named Pink, who walls himself off from reality, one trauma at a time.
I think it was the first little thing I wrote where I lyrically expressed the idea that you could make the wall out of a number of different bricks.
The foundation of Pink's wall isn't built on bad teachers, it's built on loss. The very first bricks are cemented in place by the death of his father in World War II, an event that mirrors Roger Waters' own life. Waters' father was killed at the Battle of Anzio when he was just an infant, leaving a void that would echo throughout his life and his art. This is the very essence of Another Brick in the Wall, Part 1. Long before the famous rebellion of Part 2, we get this much quieter, more mournful song. The lyrics paint a heartbreaking picture. Daddy's flown across the ocean, leaving just a memory. This isn't about anger. It's about abandonment. Pink, and Waters through him, is grappling with the ghost of a man he never knew. This first brick is the trauma of a deep, foundational loss. With his father gone, Pink is raised by an overprotective mother who smothers him in anxious love. In the song Mother, she becomes another architect of his isolation. She wraps him in a suffocating embrace, promising to shield him from all of life's pain. But in doing so, she just helps build the wall higher. Pink literally asks, "Mother, should I build a wall?" And her response is essentially to hand him the bricks and mortar herself. These first experiences, a father's absence and a mother's suffocating presence, create the initial layers of his defense. The wall is already going up, one painful brick at a time. And that brings us to Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2. You know this one. It's the song that shot to #1, the one adopted by rebels everywhere as their personal anthem. With a driving disco beat, a surprisingly catchy suggestion from producer Bob Ezrin, and a chorus of kids chanting, "We don't need no education, we don't need no thought control." It's easy to see how it got misunderstood.
And the sound was so overwhelming that everybody in the room, I'm tearing up now, everybody in the room started to cry. Because no one could believe that anything could sound like that.
But Roger Waters has been crystal clear. The song is not anti-education. He's said over and over that he believes in good education. What he was attacking was the specific kind of oppressive schooling he endured in the 1950s post-war Britain. Waters described his school as a place where certain teachers were just plain cruel, using sarcasm and force to crush any spark of individuality. So the teachers in the song are symbols. They represent any authority figure who tries to cram you into a box. Just think of the imagery from the movie. Faceless kids marching in unison into a meat grinder, only to come out as featureless clones. That's the real fear in the song. Not the fear of learning, but the fear of having your spirit ground into dust. The dark sarcasm in the classroom is just another tool of control, another experience that teaches Pink the world is hostile, and he needs his wall to survive. So when he screams, "Hey, teachers, leave them kids alone," it's a desperate cry for individuality against a system that demands sameness. It's just another trauma, another brick snapping firmly into place. As Pink grows up, the bricks keep coming. The wounds of adulthood turn out to be just as damaging as his childhood ones. He becomes a rock star, which sounds glamorous, but it only hollows him out more. The entire concept for the album came to Waters during a 1977 tour when he felt so disconnected from the stadium crowd that he actually spat on a fan. He was horrified by his own action.
Obviously, I can't remember this anymore now, but I'm told that I actually spat on somebody who was trying to get up on the stage.
In songs like Young Lust, Pink is desperate for a connection, but only finds empty, meaningless encounters. He's surrounded by people, yet he's never felt more alone. That loneliness soon curdles into paranoia and rage. His marriage falls apart, and his wife's infidelity becomes another devastating blow, another brick slammed into the wall. This pain explodes in the harrowing track, Don't Leave Me Now, a song that flips between a desperate plea for her to stay and a torrent of vicious abuse, showing just how twisted Pink's mind has become. Behind the wall, he can no longer tell the difference between love and control. By Another Brick in the Wall, Part 3, Pink's dark transformation is almost complete. The tone shifts from the sadness of Part 1 and the rebellion of Part 2 to something ice-cold and final. He screams, "I don't need no arms around me. I don't need no drugs to calm me." He's seen the writing on the wall and has decided to fully embrace being alone. He declares that every person he's ever known was all in all, just bricks in the wall. It's a bitter, defiant rejection of the entire world. The wall is no longer a defense mechanism. It's now a conscious choice. With the final brick laid, Pink is completely sealed off. This is where the album plunges into its bleakest territory. Songs like Hey You are a muffled cry for help from behind the wall he just finished building. The regret is instant, but it's too late. He calls out, "Is there anybody out there?" But his voice can't escape the prison he designed. The very thing that was meant to keep the pain out has now locked him inside with it, triggering a total mental breakdown. Inside this prison, his mind begins to rot. Cut off from any real human connection, he spirals into a drug-fueled madness. It all culminates in a terrifying hallucination where he becomes a fascist dictator, and his concert audience becomes his violent mob. This sequence, in songs like In the Flesh and Run Like Hell, is a terrifying commentary on the poison of charisma without empathy. He has become the very thing he once fought against, an unfeeling monster who crushes individuals. The story hits its climax with The Trial, a surreal court case inside Pink's shattered mind. The judge, the schoolmaster, his mother, his ex-wife, they all return as grotesque caricatures to testify against him. In the end, the judge delivers the sentence, screaming for him to tear down the wall. It's a final, violent reckoning with a lifetime of trauma. Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 isn't just a catchy protest song. It is a single, agonizing piece of a much larger, tragic puzzle. It's one man's scream against one of the many forces that built his isolation. The Wall, as a whole, is a dark, personal, and profoundly moving masterpiece that explores the nature of trauma and the prisons we build inside our own minds. It's a warning that if you seal yourself off from the world, you begin to decay. But it also ends on a fragile note of hope. After the trial, the wall comes crashing down. In the final song, Outside the Wall, we're told that the ones who really love you are still there, waiting. It suggests that even after the deepest isolation, connection is still possible, but only if we find the courage to face the world and ourselves without any walls.